Have you ever noticed that some relationships can be just as addicting and bad for you as junk food? Well, joining us now is the author of Giving Up Junk Food Relationships, Donna Barnes, and that concept is not too far away from reality, as we were discussing in the break. Good to have you here, Donna.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an interesting correlation between the two, and as you and I were talking, I'm kind of equating this to your drive on the way to McDonald's, okay? You're craving it, you know you shouldn't be eating it at that moment for your particular diet, but you get there, you get that feeling when you've got the cheeseburger, and then afterwards, how you feel. Right. Is that the same kind of connection that you make with relationships?
Exactly, and that's exactly what happens all the time. You meet somebody, you're hot for them, you really could care less whether they're good for you or not, you're just really attracted to them.
What would you say is the main reason that relationships go bad? Is it us looking for the wrong thing? Is it the other person? What would you say?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I think we have patterns, so we end up picking the same kind of people in different wrappers all the time unless we make an effort to do it. But essentially it's about, we all have issues. And if you really take the time to know what your issues are and take responsibility for them, then you can have healthier relationships. Because the problem is, a lot of your issues you don't recognize until you find that relationship. Things like commitment issues and abandonment issues. If you've never really loved somebody and had that kind of intense passion, then you don't know how you're going to feel when you get it. And a lot of people get anxiety, and they don't recognize that it's their own internal issues, so they think their partner's not right for them, and they start finding fault with their partner and blaming their partner.
It is a lot like going out and getting fast food or junk food. You just keep doing, and you don't stop to think about it until something comes up and makes you say, hey, hold on a second, why do I keep going back to this? Right. It's not so good for me. In the book, you also talk about the most common fears that spoil a relationship. What would you say are maybe the top three?
I'd say the absolute top one is commitment fears. And the really most difficult thing for people to accept about that they might have commitment issues is that their conscious desire is usually to have a relationship, sometimes with all of their heart and soul. So to suggest to them that they have commitment issues, they think that's ridiculous because it's the single thing they want most. But what they don't recognize is that it's their subconscious fear of it that's battling with their conscious fear.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then abandonment issues are big too. I think that, you know, people really have that fear of being alone. So once they find somebody, they smother them and hold on too tight. Or if it's really deep abandonment issues, they start to sabotage the relationship because they're so afraid that that person's going to leave them. They need to leave first.
Or the opposite, fear of intimacy, fear of getting too close to someone, for fear that they might leave.
That, I think, is the third one, too. I think that emotional unavailability where they just can't express their feelings. It's like, you know I love you. Why do I have to tell you? And don't touch me so much and just you're smothering me.
Leave me alone. The junk food relationships, do you think that any of them can ever turn into a well-balanced meal? Or are they those kinds of relationships that you just need to leave alone and start all over again from scratch?
Well, I have two answers to that. If you are the junk food, then yes, it can become a well-balanced meal. Because, you know, energy is contagious. So if you're really the one that's kind of behaving badly and you can make adjustments to that, then yes, maybe. But here's the thing, you cannot change anybody else. They have to want to change themselves. But if you change yourself, you will change the way people interact with you and respond with you. So really the purpose of the book is to decide whether you're junk food or whether the person that you're with is junk food, because just loving someone is really not enough. And I hear from so many clients, yeah, but I've never felt this way before. I never had that connection with anybody before. But they're not acknowledging that how they feel right now today is making them miserable, and they're not happy.
It's a really fun book, and the way that you put this all into perspective is something we can all learn from, too. Thank you so much. Thanks. Really appreciate it. If you want to get lots of other relationship advice, that junk food advice, pick up a copy of her book. It's called Giving Up Junk Food Relationships, and we'll be right back.